Hello, hello, my friend. Thank you for being here. I'm thrilled about this lesson, although it is not my favorite topic. Today, we're talking about injuries. I am recovering from one myself, and I have been coaching people on injuries and being injured since I started coaching. So today, we are talking about being on the bench. I'm kind of famous for using sports analogies when I'm a person who is famous for not understanding or knowing sports. But I do know the meaning of the bench. The bench is where players sit when they're not in the game, whether they're being punished for a foul, is that what it's called? Or they are injured for whatever reason. Today we're not talking about punishments per se, but we're talking about that moment in a dancer or athlete, dancer and athlete's life, where you incur an injury and you are not allowed to be on the field or in play or in the game. Um, in prep for this lesson, I actually looked up a couple sports coaching techniques, and I found this really awesome quote that I want to share with you. It says, "Our perspective will determine how we view the bench, and our posture on the bench will determine what we learn while we are there." So, this lesson is about reminding you what to do with your posture, not just physical, but also your mental posture, your position, let's call it, while you are on the bench. The first thing I would like to offer is, in a sense, if you are injured, you're doing it right. I remember a while back I had I was rehearsing with JT for the Man of the Woods tour. Can't remember. Sorry. Might have been 2020. I started having really severe knee pain. Turned out to be patellar tendonitis. I called my sister, who's a physician, and I asked, "Do you think I'll need surgery?" And without missing a beat, she said yes. And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, don't you want to hear my symptoms? Do you want to know, like, talk about like where it hurts and when it hurts and how bad it hurts?" And she was like, "No, I just mean like on a long enough timeline, you absolutely will need knee replacement. People who don't use their knees for their job need knee replacements. Like, this is just, it's going to be a part of your life. Maybe not knee replacement per se, but some sort of correctional operation is very much in your cards." And I was kind of rocked by that, but it reminds me of this Hosier quote, shocker, about love. It's very similar. He says, "If there was anyone to ever get through this life with their heart still intact, they didn't do it right." And I think to be a dancer and or an athlete or a person who uses your body, you can expect that doing it right means there will be some toll. So that is the first thing I would like to offer, is that being injured may be a tax for being a person who uses their body in this wonderful, marvelous way that we choose and get to do. Um, but I also want that, so that's offering number one. I also want to share just several questions that you might ask yourself while you are in this, call it compromised position. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself while you are on the bench. Number one, what are you making your injury mean? Are you making it mean that you're stupid? Are you making it mean that you messed up? Are you making it mean that the world is against you? Or are you making it mean that now you have a front row seat to the game of art, we'll call it, and an outside eye all at once, right? You are outside of it, but close enough up to it where you can really get a good look at it. There's an interesting perspective twist there. So, what are you making your injury mean? Are you making it mean that you're wrong or bad, or that the world is wrong and bad, or that something shouldn't have happened the way it did? Or are you making this mean this is this was your hand that is dealt to you, and how are you going to play these cards? The next question I encourage you to ask is, how can you give yourself grace with your position without stopping your momentum? is that by advocating for yourself and for making dance spaces more inclusive of people with injuries or disabilities, is that does that mean you advocate for yourself in the form of showing up for new materials, training in ways that don't involve actual dance training? Let's be real. The actual dance part is a very small part of what most of us are doing here. So much more of our jobs is not dance than our dance studio teachers would have had us believing, I think. So another option for how you might continue momentum without stopping is to simply pick up a different part of the project that you're working on. If you're working on, or we're hoping to be working on dance related projects, skip to the editing phase. What can you learn about editing right now? Maybe skip to the distribution phase. What can you learn about copyright and ownership of your work? There is so much more than making the thing and dancing the thing. Um, I think sometimes an injury is an opportunity to make weaknesses stronger instead of continuing to strengthen strengths. Another question I'd encourage you to ask is, what will you decide to think about the others who are on the field and in the game? Will you decide to think that they have something you don't? Or will you decide to think, what do I have to learn from them right now? What if they, the people on the field, are your textbook, your teachers, your tutors, like your independent one-on-one coaches? I always remember my teachers saying, when someone else asks a question, you should listen to their answer because there's always something to learn. I think the same is true for watching other people play the game. You can learn by watching other people make mistakes and have successes without having to make them yourself. So I am a fatally at times optimistic person. I have a silver lining to all of my garments. But I think when it comes to injury, there is a huge practical piece that, yes, my friend, this sucks. And I hope that you are processing pain, discomfort, jealousy, resentment, whatever it is that is coming up for you. Please do not shut those out in favor of my silver linings playbook that I have, not pun intended, sports analogy there. Feel it first. And then, my friends, ask yourself these questions. What are you making your injury mean? How can you give yourself grace without stopping your momentum? And what will you decide to think about the players who are still in the game? Ask yourself those questions on loop, my friends, and continue feeling the feelings that are showing up for you. Injuries are very likely in our field, and fortunately, there are teams and people in place to help you through it. I myself am one, and I'm happy to point you in the direction of others. If you are going through a complex injury or a recovery period, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know. And please keep in mind, when you are on the bench, I love this analogy, keep your head up, not down. There is so much to be learned when your eyes are up, my friends. Thank you for being here. Get out into the world. And even if you're on the bench, get out into the world and keep it exceptionally funky. I'll talk to you soon.